Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I have the results of the draft. Since we did all types of mock drafts and did all types of conversations about the draft, it's only right that I give you a result of the first round. I'll speed straight through it, so please bear with me. The Hawks got Risache, the Wizards got Sar, the Rockets got Reed Shepard, the Spurs got Stephon Castle, the Pistons got Ron Holland, the Hornets got Tijon Salon, the Blazers got Donovan Clingan. The Spurs traded the 8th pick to the Wolves for Rob Dillingham. Crazy stuff there. The Grizzlies got Zach Edey. The Utah Jazz went with Cody Williams. The Bulls got Bruzelis. OKC went with Topic. The Kings got Devin Carter. The Blazers, earlier today, as we talked about, had traded the 14th overall pick to the Wizards and got Bob Carrington. The Heat took Khalil Ware. The 76ers took McCain. And the Lakers, of course, took Dalton Knecht. Welcome to LA, Dalton. The Magic took Tristan da Silva. The Raptors took Jacoby Walter. The Cavs took Jalen Tyson. Is it Jalen Tyson? I think I got his name wrong real quick. Yeah, it is Jalen Tyson. One of my favorite players, but I forgot his first name. But Jalen Tyson went to the Cavs. The Pelicans took Yves Missi. The 22nd pick was traded from Phoenix to Denver, and Denver took Deron Holmes. Hate seeing him go to Denver. Jesus. The Bucks took A.J. Johnson at 23. The Knicks traded their 24th pick to the Wizards and took Keyshawn George. So the Wizards got Keyshawn George. The Knicks then took Pacome Dadier, and then the Wizards traded their pick to the Knicks, which was 24 for 26, and that was Dylan Jones headed to the Knicks. So that was very strange how that went. The Wolves then took Terrence Shannon with 27. Denver traded their pick to Phoenix, as we had spoken about Phoenix to Denver for Holmes. Well, Denver now had the 28th pick sent to Phoenix, and they took Ryan Dunn. The Utah Jazz then took Isaiah Collier with the 29th pick. Wild value there. And then, of course, the Boston Celtics finished the first round with Baylor Shireman. So I kind of wanted to just say all of that. There's still some interesting names left on the board. I'll speed through those as well. Tyler Smith still on the board. Filipowski still on the board. Tyler Kolek still on the board. Johnny Furphy still on the board. Adam Bonet and then the rest of those guys you would imagine that would have fallen to the second round. But those were the key names that you thought would go in the first round that did not. So what stands out? My mind is a little different. I kind of jump all the way around everywhere. So just bear with me as I speak on what I think stood out to me. What really stands out, as I just go straight to it, is the Utah Jazz getting Isaiah Collier at 29. My mock draft, I had Isaiah Collier going to the Jazz at 10. So that right there is the best value on the night. Of course, my Lakers get Dalton Knecht. That's also like the second best value of the night. But those are two lottery talents that fell all the way down to the second half of the draft. So you got to love what Utah was able to do tonight, just in general. Being able to first walk away with Cody Williams and then walk away with Isaiah Collier. Those are two players that probably should have went in the same range. So that, they're both expected to be lottery guys before this draft began. Isaiah Collier could fall, and I told y'all someone was going to fall from them guards. I didn't expect him to fall that damn far. But Collier and Cody are both Jazz, so I think Jazz probably you would consider did fantastic tonight. The Spurs trading the 8th pick to the Wolves was wild as hell. Sending Rob Dillingham, arguably the best dribbling scoring guard in this draft, to an already loaded Wolves team that probably needed what Rob Dilly does. So the rich get richer. The Wolves are so much better of a team tonight than they were when the playoffs ended. Now that they got Rob Dillingham down there next to, of course, Terrence Shannon is who they also got, who's some think is a lottery talent. His value kind of fell because of his age and because of the off the court stuff. But now he's going to the Wolves. So the Wolves just picked up some young talent at some fantastic value. Two players with really nice upside in this draft, and they were already a team that was in the second round going strong this season. So you talk about a contender. The Wolves have gotten a lot better tonight, and so I think they also were big winners tonight in this draft. The Hawks took Reece Sachet as I expected. Most people said it was Sarr, but I had a different vision for the Hawks, and I think they aligned with my vision for them. Reece Sachet and Jalen Johnson, two wings that go great with the point guards that are already in place. They didn't really need a center because they had a center that's going to be hard to move because they paid him too damn much. And what's the guy they got from the Rockets several years back? I can't think of his name right now. I'm not going to twist my mind up. But they got two centers, and I don't know that they're going to be able to create the space for Sarr as early on as probably Sarr would be ready for. The Wizards got Sarr. I wasn't overly in love with him going to the Wizards, but I do think that his value is too high to be dropping from there if you're the Wizards. So taking him makes a lot of sense to most people. I just didn't see it for them necessarily. But I did love that they got another pick in this draft and ended up walking away with Bub Carrington. I think that looks great. Bub Carrington. Who else did they get today? Malcolm Brogdon and Alex Sarr, all are Wizards today. So I think the Wizards, you can feel really good about the Wizards with the type of talent that they allowed to come into their uniform today. I think they're big winners on the day. Rockets got Reed Shepherd, so I guess they saw the vision there. They didn't want to overload on forwards, which I don't blame them for. That was a fit that most people saw that I just thought he was a little redundant to the point guard they already had paid from Toronto, of whom I'm not going to waste my mind trying to figure out his name either. But y'all know who I'm talking about. He won the NBA championship with Toronto Raptors, ended up signing with the Rockets. He kind of same size, same build, same strengths as Reed Shepherd to me. So I thought they were a little redundant, but so was everything else that the Rockets could have picked up in this draft. Spurs got Castle. That's exactly what I mocked. I think that's a great fit for him. Ron Holland went to the Pistons. I thought that was interesting. Because if I'm being real with you, I think the only reason why the Lakers probably got Dalton Connect is because the Pistons passed on him at 5. And I thought that there was a lot of talk about Buzelis possibly going to the Pistons, but I don't think a lot of people like Buzelis as much as you would think the Pistons would like spacing the floor. And so a lot of people had Connect going to the Detroit Pistons, and they just took Ron Holland. Now, did I think they got the better player? I think so. Ron Holland's probably one of the best players in this draft. But can he stretch the floor? No, his shot is what needs to be worked on. Now, I know they picked up a shooting coach, but it just seemed a little out of left field that they would take Ron Holland, given the fact that they had such horrible spacing issues. But this is what happened with last year when the Pistons had 5. They let Cam Whitmore fall because they wanted to go with an off kind of to the left kind of pick. And even though it did pan out, in my opinion, now they had these spacing issues with Thompson. Thompson's great, but he can't shoot necessarily. And so you bring in Ron Holland, who's a guy who also has issues shooting the ball, but is very athletic. So I don't know, man. They passed on Connect, and I think he just slipped from there because the rest of the teams behind him had plans already. They took pretty much who they had intended to take, and it just slipped to the Lakers. And I think there's going to be a lot of teams that wish that didn't happen. I think there's going to be a lot of teams who are going to wish they took Dalton Connect. But I think all of them, thank you, Pistons. You made a decision. I don't disagree with the overall talent, but the fit, if you kind of punted fit, which is perfectly fine, depending on how it all shakes out throughout history. Sometimes you do punt fit, and you're happy you did. So I'm not killing the move. I just understand what they did, and it's a hell of a thing to do when you have the type of problems that they have currently. But Ron Holland has so much upside that 4 years from now, I don't think they'll mind. I really don't think they'll mind. So that's my honest opinion. I think that's kind of how it goes sometimes. Tejan Salone going to the Hornets. I thought that was a little strange, to be honest with you. I like Tejan Salone. In fact, I like him a lot, really. But I just think he's 2 years away from being 2 years away, and the Hornets are not a good developing team. Now, could they have turned the corner picking up Brandon Miller last year? And, of course, having LaMelo Ball? I think one could say that they turned the corner as a franchise, and this is a high-level player coming in. But I think they also left some better value on the board. You could probably get Tejan Salone if you trade down. Maybe you could have, I don't know. I don't know if the Grizzlies would have wanted Klingon as bad as maybe people thought they did, but I probably would have been trying to make a trade with the Grizzlies, try to see if they wanted to give 6 and maybe try to take 9. I could have got Tajon Salon at 9, I think. But the Hornets decided to take Salon at 6, and I just thought that was a little high for me. For a guy who has some bust potential. Boom for sure, but it could go left. It could really go left with Tajon. So I don't know if you're the Hornets, in your history and your market, do you do that? Only time will tell if that's a good pick or not. It's on this night, it looks weird. On this night, you feel like that's not the greatest spot for him. So I don't know. Blazers got Clingan, exactly how I mocked it. Most people thought Clingan fell to a degree, but I just thought that's how it shake up. I don't think most of those teams that drafted before them, before he was taken at 7, really needed a center. Spurs didn't really need a center. Pistons needed a center. Hornets didn't need a center. So that was kind of like a product of how this draft shook up based on the teams that were drafting. So I think Clingan could have very easily went higher if a team would have been willing to trade up for him. And I think some of those trades might have been locked up because of the price tag on everything after some of the stuff that's been done over the last 48 hours. So Clingan fell where I thought he would go initially. And I think he's in a good spot with the Blazers. Like I said, Ayton, when I told you guys I wasn't big on Ayton, I'm just not. I think they should probably trade Ayton now. And I think they feel great about going forward with Donovan Clingan. So that's a good spot for him. Like I said, Rob Dilley to the Wolves was amazing. I just think the Wolves probably walk away popping bottles about how things went tonight, especially when you don't have a lot of picks. When you turn some futures, they turn what? I think they mortgaged the 30 pick and the 31 pick for Rob Dilley. That's a lot of years down the road, and since they have such a young core, how old are these two players going to be at that age? At that point, 30? Edwards is going to be like 30 at that age. McDaniel's going to be like 31. They're still in their prime for the times that they've mortgaged their picks. So the most important thing for the Wolves was to try to get as much talent aligned with Anthony Edwards as possible that can carry them into that future past the era of the picks that they've mortgaged. Because that's really what it's all about. As long as your team can be good in them years, and it ain't going to be hurtful that you've mortgaged your picks, because they're not going to be very good picks. And so I think that's a little weird for the Spurs to let them do that, because those picks aren't expected to be very good, especially if you give them a talent like Rob Dillingham, slap him next to Anthony Edwards. Now you've given them a real future. Even if things go wrong with everything else, they can reset their situation off of those two young stars. Because Dillingham's going to be a star. They're going to put the ball in his hands in Minnesota. That's perfect for him. He probably don't even have to come off the bench for longer, after this season, depending on what happens with their point guard position. But, I thought the Wolves needed Rob Dillingham or somebody's point guard. Now, it was kind of funny to me that Isaiah Collier ultimately was on the board at 27, but since they had done all that to get Rob Dilley, I don't think that was the best place for Collier anymore. And if you would have asked me who I'd rather have from Minnesota, I probably would have said Rob Dillingham. So I don't think it's crazy that the Wolves passed on Isaiah Collier necessarily at 27. But I told you guys 2 or 3 weeks ago, I thought the best place for Collier in the entire league was the Wolves. I really did. So I just looked up and realized at 27 that he was still on the board. So maybe if you know that's going to happen, you don't mortgage those 2 picks and you just draft him, Isaiah Collier, outright. But I do think Rob Dillingham is a better player than Isaiah Collier, and I had him ranked a couple spots ahead of him, but not many. Isaiah was not supposed to fall that far. But anyway, that's my take on that. Grizzlies, Edey. As a Laker fan, I was slightly disappointed that the Grizzlies took Zach Edey, because I wanted Zach Edey on my team. But now that the night is over and we got Dalton Knecht, I'm ecstatic that we ended up with Dalton Knecht. I had a higher grade on Dalton Knecht than I did on Zach Edey, in a nutshell. He's just a prospect that I felt better about. So for my situation, I wanted Edey, and I was a little upset about him not being on the board. But once I realized Knecht was still on the board at 17, that took all my pain away. So he's still a 300-pound center we got to deal with. Western Conference, Clingan and Edey are on the same conference, y'all. So I would have loved for those guys to go back east, so we wouldn't have to deal with them. I'm going to say something that I don't think people are really thinking about, but when the more of these heavy dudes come in, the more you need to assure that your best player who's 50 pounds lighter than them is not guarding them, or else you could be facing injury probability concerns. That's what comes to mind. Now, if I'm assessing things with my Western Conference big men, I don't like this conference as much as I did before this draft, because now I know when the Blazers come to town, I got 300-pound Clingan to deal with, and when the Grizzlies come to town, I got 300-pound Edey to deal with, on top of all the other bigs that I got to deal with. So these are the type of things that come to mind for me. If I'm in the Western Conference, I'm loading up on centers somehow. I might even have to make a trade for somebody with a bad contract so I can put a center on my team, or pick up some washed up center that I definitely didn't want on my team initially, because now both of those guys, on top of every other big man, is still in this league. So that's 4 games against Clingan, 4 games against Edey, 4 games against Jokic. It don't pay to be a big man in the Western Conference. I just tell y'all right now, because y'all got some serious matchups to deal with, these physical big men. And I just think that this is what I was concerned about. This is exactly what I was concerned about. They all loaded up in the same damn conference. So there's that, man. Cody Williams to Utah. Like I said, I thought Utah really did a fantastic job tonight getting quality young players that are, 19 years old, both of them, Collier and Williams. You just have to love that. That's almost like the Rockets last year getting Thompson and Cam Whitmore, because those were both lottery talents, and one of them fell to the 20s. This is the exact same thing Utah ended up getting tonight. I don't know if I should look into that, if that's a little bit of a conspiracy there, but it is what it is. That happened tonight for the Jazz. A very strange pick. Well, the Bulls and Buzelis is great. Buzelis is from Chicago, so I think that's a fantastic spot for him to fall to. He's a wing. This makes small forward position, so they didn't load up on any more guards. I thought that would have been a mistake. I think Buzelis is great in Chicago. I like that pick for them, which is something they needed, something that someone wasn't going to kill. You know what I mean? The Bulls been doing weird stuff, so getting Buzelis at 11 is good value. This is a pick that I thought was strange. The OKC Thunder taking Nikola Topic. I like Nikola Topic a lot. Even with the knee injury, I'd have been happy to take him at 17 if he fell to my Lakers. But OKC, y'all got a bunch of guards. There's no path to him really getting his minutes or having that role that he deserves in this league. Here we go again with the OKC Thunder loading up on guards. It's not disrespectful, but it does a disservice to those guards. Because you got SGA, you got J-Dub, you got the guy you drafted last year, what's his name? That you took with the 10th pick, and I had this same argument about it. Names, you know me. But the point is they got a bunch of guards, man. They just picked up AC, Alex Caruso. And now they added Topic to that situation. Granted, Topic's probably going to have a red shirt year. He probably ain't going to play much this year, but that's like 4 guards, lead guards, that are not going to be able to develop into starters because they're stuck on this team full of guards. I killed OKC for doing that last year. I killed the Hornets for doing that last year. And I just don't like it, man. I don't like the teams do that. Because the guard position is one of those positions that you can't switch everything. If you do this with forwards, you can play them at the 2, 3, and 4. You do this with guards, and they're stuck playing the guard position. They got to sit. They're playing, musical chairs out there. It's just, it's unfair to those prospects. I really don't like that OKC keeps doing this. It's just, it's greed at the end of the day. So if they are good with allowing Topic to sit for the year, then it's not going to affect their season. And maybe they can shake some things loose over the next 2 years to open up that spot for Topic. And if that's the case, then it'll all be fine. But if Topic wants to play this year, he's behind SGA, he's behind AC, he's behind the guy that I can't remember his name they drafted last year that plays excellent defense. J-Dub is basically a guard. It's a log jam, and it's a rather annoying one, if you ask me. I don't like it. The Kings took Devin Carter. I think the teams took Devin Carter because they knew everybody else wanted Devin Carter. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think the Kings really needed Devin Carter. I really don't. They got guards. They got Malik Monk. They got, obviously, De'Aaron Fox. I thought they could have filled a different need, but because it was so much rumors involving Devin Carter's name going to teams that were right behind him, I just think they snatched Devin Carter off the sheer value of the player. Because Devin Carter is a point guard who rebounds the ball, who doesn't necessarily become a shot maker, but is a nice defensive player. You don't know the Kings for defense. They're not, that's not necessarily what they needed. So I love the player, and I thought they could use a guard, because I did have them taking Rob Dillingham, even though he didn't fall there, but it was for a different reason. I had them taking a guard in that situation because Malik Monk was allegedly or supposedly going to be leaving, who didn't leave, and because Rob Dillingham is a scorer, for which I thought fit the role. But I don't know what role they have for Devin Carter. I really don't know what role they have for Devin Carter. Are they going to shake some things up with their guards? Maybe move on from some guys that obviously names never come to mind for me. But are they going to move on from some of those guards? Obviously, Monk and Fox are in place, but now you got Devin Carter in place. You still got Davion Mitchell. So I guess you move on from Davion Mitchell at this point, because he's basically Devin Carter, just a little smaller. So I don't know. Sacramento could afford to shake some things loose, try to get some different type of players in different roles.